Welcome to Impact Wrestling's Multiverse of Matches. I botched that more than a few times. I'm just botching. I hope you enjoyed your viewing of Multiverse of Matches. It was well done. Now, I do have to say that you will have some issues. There is a couple of issues. One, audio was not working very well. There was some type of issue. But in general, the lighting was okay, wasn't bad. Of course, the audio work wasn't great. There was some type of problem. There was either the sound was not there or was extremely low. Camera work. This is where it gets a bit sad, but here it isn't. But at the same time, it is. Do you want to understand what I'm saying? This is a WrestleCon. How come Impact can be at a WrestleCon and get almost everything right, but on the regular show they cannot? What? I don't care if it's Lance Storm running things. How come he can get it done at a WrestleCon, but not in a regular show that they tape ahead of time? It's dumb. But here it is not. You watch this show, and in general, from the beginning near the middle, 100% you can see. Yeah, the camera work generally was close, but it's not like it kept zooming in a lot. It's very rare they did it. At the end of the show was a little sloppy, but that's understandable from any show. This was a solid show, so let's get to the beginning. We got Ultimate X, where you had Vincent, Rick Swann, Trey, the current X Division champion. You had Blake Christian, who I haven't seen in a while. You had Chris Bay, and then you had Jordan Grace. Now, was I upset Jordan Grace was in the match? No. There were two people who did actually quite well in there. That one was Jordan Grace, and the other one was, well, Blake Christian. I mean, I'm not a big Blake Christian fan. I've seen him a couple of times. He seems to be well-versed. Doesn't mean he's much better than anyone else, but it doesn't mean he's bad. So Blake Christian looked good. Jordan Grace looked good. In the end, Trey Miguel won and did not lose his title. I didn't expect him to lose because I would be surprised if Chris Bay had won or Jordan Grace had won, because she never did win the title generally. But still, seeing Trey win was understandable. They want to go into rebellion with Trey, and I believe it's this triple threat. So there you go. No problem. It was fine. Next match. This was Alex Shelley and seeing Alex Shelley as a heel going against... How do I actually feel about a Motor City Machine Gun acting heelish with a Mike Bailey, who is the face here? I thought there was just going to be two general faces, but it seemed Alex Shelley decided, you know what? I'm going to be heelish in this one. There should be a heel in this match. So he chose to be the heel. And it really helped the dynamic of the match. You got two well-versed wrestlers who can also be high flyers. I would like to see, tell me if you guys have seen Alex Shelley go up against Matt Sydal. They both almost exactly the same size, have similar styles, and they even look similar, like they could be related. So I would like to see a Shelley versus I really would like to see. I really like to see it. But was the match good? It was very fast-paced. And I got to say this about Mike Bailey. I never said I hated the guy. I still don't agree with him being barefoot with shin pads. I just don't think they look right. They look weird. Does it mean he can't wrestle? Didn't say that. Did a very good job. He did a twisting shooting star press from not a ring rope, but a standing, twisting, shooting star press, which was quite impressive. At least until he tried to do double knees to a Alex Shelley twice, and one of them was on the ring skirt. Guys, I don't care who you are, even with knee pads, that's not good to do. That will mess up your knees way earlier than it should be. Look at Harley Race. The man could barely walk, not just because his hips were bad, like mine. His knees were completely shot because he used to wrestle in many cases with no knee pads whatsoever. Even with knee pads, it's not good. So I'm really hoping that a Mike Bailey doesn't do that for the rest of his career, because that will destroy his knees. And even with technology being the way it is, we don't want to see him walking with a cane like I do. Yeah, I do walk with a cane. In the end, I will say, seeing Bayley win wasn't that surprising. They really want to build up Mike Bailey, particularly he's going to be dealing with Ace Austin. Sooner or later, they're going to have a match. I'm just saying. Now, the next match, Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green versus Nick Aldis and Mickie James. A match from NWA. Finally, we get to see Magnus. I'm glad they didn't use the Magnus name. I'm glad they used Nick Aldis to show that he's grown since the last time he was an Impact about 5 years ago. That he's now a 2-time NWA champion. That he's the longest running NWA champion, over 1,000 days together with both his titles. It was good to see that. It was good to see that they were willing to acknowledge NWA. The question is going to be, will they do more with them? That's what I'm kind of hoping for. But seeing this one-off match, like I said should be a one-off match, was fine. Was the match quality good? Yes. Camera work was good. The lighting was good for that match. Seeing that it was a mixed match in the gender match where both sides can attack one another really did help a lot. Seeing that she nutshot at her own husband, and that is a Chelsea Green to a Matt Cardona, was fine. The question's going to be, was the psychology good? Which it was. It wasn't perfect. Not all psychologies of matches are perfect. Like Ima Ishii, which Eddie Edwards was not great at what Ima Ishii was. But the match quality was good. The story went along well. It flowed generally all right. They kind of have two stories from NWA and Impact where you can see Chelsea screwed over. Well, in NWA, you can see that Chelsea Green screwed over a Nick Aldis from a Mickie James. And in the very beginning of the match, you can see both women ready to rip each other's heads off, which was very good to see. That was also part of the psychology. I'm glad that did happen. And in the end, you did see that the Cardonas lost and that the Aldis gang won. The question is, will this filters over to Power? Normally, no. They will reference it, like Joe Gallen will reference it along with a Velvet Sky and maybe Tim Storm. But I kind of wish that they would allow a little bit of footage from Impact Wrestling to be shown on NWA to show the Multiverse of Matches, this match. It really would help NWA, not that Impact is going to be better if NWA joins them. But you know what? Cross-promotion like that is not 100% a bad thing. It does help a little bit, don't you think? But that's just me. Now, the Fatal 4-Way, well, not Fatal 4-Way, the 4-Way Knockouts tag match of two. You got two teams that are legitimate in a Rosemary and Havoc with the influence. Then you got pretty much what? I know you're going to say what Sienna Evans and Tasha Steele are a tag team. They never act like a tag team. You got one person who's currently the champ, another one that's her muscle. So really, it doesn't really feel 100% like a real tag team. She's always going to use her in a tag, but doesn't mean that she has cohesiveness as a tag team. Then you got the two. What did I say? What did I say about Giselle Shaw and Lady Frost? What did I say? Why are they being used in such capacity? Now, mind you, did they look bad in the match? No. Frost and Shaw did a great job. And I know people said, why did you get all cranky about the Battle Royal? Because in the Battle Royal, if they had not been jobbing beforehand, would not be an issue. They just went up against Rosemary in a Battle Royal on Impact TV, which, yes, was probably taped a couple of weeks before, or a week before, but still, you see them, yes, they look great, but do you actually believe they mean anything? You just threw them into a tag team together because you got no women. And worse yet, you made these two women job to each other. You had Frost job on BTI and win on BTI and lose to Purrazzo and then lose to Purrazzo twice. I didn't believe Shaw or Frost was going to win this at all. They were just bodies. And that hurts me. Tell me the reason why I shouldn't be hurt. Leave a comment. Why two good wrestling women. I mean, I'm now seeing how Shaw is. I can understand why many people like her. Why she's a good wrestler. Is she a great wrestler? I don't think so. I think she's a good wrestler. If I see Shaw versus Frost, I think Frost is a better wrestler. Maybe due to the fact that Frost has been in the business longer than a Shaw. But it doesn't mean that Shaw couldn't become a great wrestler eventually. But you can see the difference. And then in the end, and it was funny to see that Frost was facing down at Havoc, and Havoc screams in the face, and she just stood there and took it like she wasn't scared. It was fine. The influence retained. There was no Caleb. There was no inspiration, even though that Gia was asked, hey, where's Caleb? Aren't you afraid that the inspiration is doing something with him? And they said, no, we don't need him, and they're not doing anything. It goes along with the storyline. It's fine. I can say that. Now, this was the most hard-hitting match and the most best match for psychology you could have, and that's Eddie Edwards versus Koma, Todo, Tamaru, Imaishi. There you go. Tamaru, Imaishi. What is it? The Stone Bulldog, I believe he was called. The Stowe Bulldog. I don't know about the name. The Bulldog part, I get. Because I've seen Imaishi more than a few times on AEW. I've seen him on some of the other places. Even New Japan Strong, when I did one review of it. At least look at it. So he's interesting for a 26-year veteran. Is he overemphasized because of how long he's been in the business? Yeah, but it doesn't mean he can't do the business. You can see that he's well-trained. You can see he knows psychology. You can see that he can make it work. And the guy looks like he's nearly 50. He's probably in his late 40s, nearing 50, and he still moves pretty decent for his age. And then you got Eddie Edwards, who made it very clear that he was not going to represent Impact, unlike Imaishi, who is representing New Japan Pro Wrestling. He decided to do Pro Wrestling Noah, which kind of hurts me. Because, as I've said before, years ago, you saw better content when Pro Wrestling Noah was a part of a arrangement with Impact than you did with AEW. Because at least there was at least something there that felt more substantial compared to AEW and Kenny Omega. Not saying I'm taking anything away from Kenny, away from all the people that came. I'm not taking anything away from them. They did a decent job, but it didn't really feel substantially great. When it came to Pro Wrestling Noah, it was better. You could feel it. So, I kind of wish there was another Pro Wrestling Noah wrestler there other than Eddie Edwards just saying I'm representing a former company I used to work with, or maybe he still does, because he could still be representing them. But I kind of wish there was one more person there. So this was a very hard-hitting match. There wasn't a lot of aerial. There was a lot of hard-hitting, some good level of psychology from Imaishi and Eddie. I mean, more Imaishi than it was to Eddie. Eddie's Eddie. But Imaishi did pretty damn well. I'm not saying he's the greatest, but at least the psychology-wise, you could see the crowd really to get into it. He made it important that he would not quit. And Eddie wanted him to quit. So in the end, you got Imaishi winning due to the fact that he's going to have a match of Rebellion. And you're going to see Jonathan Gresham dealing with Eddie Edwards at Rebellion as well. So it's all right. It didn't matter who won because it was a good match. Now, this is where I know there's some people who just don't like the guy. And it's been emphasized. But this is what you get. You get Josh and Jonah versus Pco and Moose. Now, this is where the camera work becomes a little sloppy. Not that they zoom in like they've been doing on the tapings of Impact Wrestling, but it was a bit sloppy that in the beginning to the middle of the show, You can see how they were switching the cameras very well. That even though the camera work was not really wide like it should be, like this, really wide, they were a little tight. Now, mind you, there's some people, like in my comments for my Impact show, they're saying, I don't understand what you're saying because I liked it. The people on Twitter liked it. Well, as I said in the posting I left for that person, you're going to like it because you like Impact. You'll take what Impact gives you. Not that it's a bad thing, but you want more people to watch the product. You want not just you to watch it. You want other people to watch the product and to be interested in it. Many people don't like tight shots. Many people who are not wrestling fans of Impact Wrestling may like wide shots like in AEW or WWE. So it would stand a reason to change up your style instead of doing it tight. Now, was this a good shot for a Josh Alexander to get his hands on Moose because of him spearing his wife in front of his kids? I kind of wish they didn't have the match, because if it was PCO versus Jonah, I would say after what happened with I was not happy with the cinematics because of how close the shots were and the lighting being so bad. Did it have, and this is what one of the people who left a comment there, I liked it due to the fact it was really a horror dark type of thing. Well, I can understand that. But the problem here is that even in horror, you got to make sure you can see what's going on to a certain extent. When Undertaker and AJ Styles had their cinematic, it was not perfect at all. It was messed up because in many cases, you couldn't see everything there, but you could see enough. And PCO and Jonah deserved a bit better than that, particularly that it felt like it was thrown together at the last minute. I agree with the comment that person left, that it would have been better if Jonah had fallen into a little pit and PCO just threw a little bit of dirt on him, instead of just him laying on the ground and just throwing dirt on top of him. So when it comes to this match, I kind of wish it didn't happen, because I want to wait and see what's going to happen at Rebellion, because they're going to face each other at Rebellion. They've already stated it, just like Moose and Josh. I kind of wish they had thrown out the match. That, like in the very beginning where Tom was saying along with Aiden that I'm surprised that Josh is holding back because of what happened with his wife. Well, like I said in my Impact review, wouldn't it have been better that Josh came out in street clothes and just whooped the ass of a Madman Fulton? Why didn't he just come out here and just destroy and not want to wrestle but to fight, and they throw out the match? I know that's not everyone's going to be fond of that, but honestly, I think it makes the best sense going with the storyline that he is doing with Moose. That he tries to get his hands on him, he can't get his hands on him, and they have to throw out the match because pretty much Josh is not willing to listen. I'm just saying. In the end, Jonah and Josh win the match. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I am in agreement with Todd and Aiden. This match eventually feels like it will happen, where Jonah will go up against Moose. I do believe, seeing the performance those two are working together, you got for almost a minute and a half Moose trying to shoulder tackle a Jonah and could not get him to go down. They had great chemistry together. Moose had good chemistry with Jonah more than Josh did. Not because Josh cannot wrestle. It's just that in this situation, that is just a match just thrown together. You can see the chemistry instant. And that's what I would like to see. Now, the Duranus title match. And this is where I'm fine with the ending of the match. I'm fine with what happened after the ending of the match. But I'm going like, really? You bring back Phoebe Apache. I'm not against her. This is not the second time I've seen her. Good wrestler. Over 20 years of experience. She came into wrestling right when the Durenas title came into being. She'd been at what? Wrestling like 23, 24 years. And the title for AAA got introduced about 23 years ago. So she had been either in the business right at the same time the title came in, or just a little bit longer than the title had just come in. So it was interesting. Shame there was no vid pack for her. They did it for Deonna Purrazzo, but nothing for her. Of course, she was a surprise wrestler. But it's like, I kind of wanted someone different than Apache. I kind of would have liked Athena. I kind of would have liked someone else. It could have been a Toni Storm. Of course, she is now signed with AEW. No, we're not going to get her. But somebody that we hadn't seen that would have been nice to be seen. Was the match bad? No. Admittedly, the camera work was a little choppy near the end of the match, but it was not bad. You could still see what's going on in the ring, and the psychology of that match was pretty good. Near the middle to the end, you can see when it was first Apache who was leading some of this match. Then Deonna took over after that. Even though it was switching back and forth, that you could see Apache was controlling on and off near the middle to the end. It was still Deonna who was leading it by the end of it and won. Now, the problem I have was the audio here, that we could barely hear her. And when they already announced, while the show was going on, because Supercard was already by that time almost finished, that there's an interim title for OH, and Mercedes Martinez currently holds it. And she makes it clear, I don't care who it is. The last time Mercedes was here, I beat her. She is nothing. I am the true champion, and nobody's better than me. And then we finally get a Taya Valkyrie returning. Damn, I think I got a shot of her. She's in my face. This might be one of the few shots I will be doing. Damn, that woman's gorgeous. And I did see the Chris Van Vliet video of her talking about her experience with WWE and how she felt. I would recommend, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Yes, a couple of months old by now. Nearly a month or more old now. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend you see it. And you get a good idea of how Taya was feeling at the time and how she felt hurt. But she had to do what she had to do because she didn't want any regrets. So I recommend you seeing that. But when you see this here with Taya Valkyrie, the biggest question, other than her going after the Durenas title, because that's what she's going after. She's not going after the ROH title because it's obvious that they are going to do something with AEW. That eventually Deonna Purrazzo will end up on ROH or AEW television, and she will, well, AEW television is ROH television, but you get my point. Either she will end up on ROH or she'll end up on Dynamite or Rampage, where she will have to drop that title. It will happen. One or the other, she will be ending up there. I'm just saying. I kind of wish that with Taya's own problem, also audio too, I kind of hope and wish we could know ahead of time how they're going to book her. Because I am worried that, yes, Taya may be back for a while, but it's going to be a question of how they book her. I would love to know now, but we'll have to wait and see if she's doing the recordings from now on, or already have done recordings. We'll know then. Now, Jay White versus Chris Saban. Another good match. It was rough, but it was not like Eddie Edwards and Ima Ishii. No. It was a lot more fast-paced, more high-flying. Their match was not high-flying and fast-paced with hard-hitting. It was high psychology and, to a certain extent, a lot of fast-paced, but this was more aerial than anything else. In the end, Jay White finally got pinned. Then you see Macklin come out to try and break down Saban. Then you see Macklin facing down at Jay White, who he told you better back off, and then gets nut-shotted by him, and then he leaves, and now Macklin's angry, Jay White is angry, and Chris Saban gets to win and gets beaten down. So what exactly do we got there? What? I don't know where they're going to go with that. You would think that you would have Jay White now deal with Macklin, but now you wonder if Macklin is going to even deal with Jay White after he gets the nut shot. He should go after Jay White now because he got nut shotted because he was going after a Chris Saban. Chris Saban should be forgotten, and now Jay and Macklin should be the goal now. But they're probably going to do Chris, then he's going to probably either lose or win to Chris, and then maybe Jay. That's what I think will happen, unless they're going to go through all the people on Team Impact, which I don't think is necessary. I think Jay should be the next person for Macklin because Macklin's not doing anything. I want to see him do something else. I'm just saying. The final match of the night. If I'm forgetting anything, I'm sorry. But the final match of the night will be the Good Brothers versus the Briscoes, who now have dropped. They dropped the ROH tag titles to FTR. They already got beaten that same night. This same night. They've already been beaten. I think it was early in the show. Because I haven't seen Supercard yet. I have not seen it. So I don't know. Maybe I will try and see it. I plan to see it Monday. Supercard. Because there's no way I can see NWA. I might try to see NWA. Because it'll be like an hour. So I may see NWA tomorrow. And try to upload something if I can. Because this is already past 1 something in the morning. When this is uploaded, it'll be over 2. So I'm going to see if I can watch it before WrestleMania. But there's no guarantee I will. Because it's nearly 2 something, nearing 1 something in the morning. It'll be 2 something by the time I edit it and upload it to YouTube. So guys, I might not be able to do anything until Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. But they did win. No, FTR did win at probably the beginning of their show. So the Briscoes could go all the way where they are now and could do the business. Was this a good match? Yes. The Briscoes was a good match. Jay White interfered at the end of the match. Now, I got to say this. I don't know if the Briscoes have ever met the Good Brothers and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe they did. Because the way that they were performing in the middle of the match clearly shows they have some really good chemistry. So I don't know if they did. But when you see them, you see, like, why don't the Briscoes come to Impact Wrestling? If they can't go to ROH, which is controlled by AEW, why not go to Impact Wrestling? But that counts if they're not going to go to ROH, because ROH may want them back through Tony Khan. You never know. But in the end, they lost. That's the second time in the night. Literally, they lost their tag titles from ROH, and now they lost to the Good Brothers. I'm kind of hoping that they will not go to ROH or AEW for a little while and do some Impact tapings from now on. Because we had the Gorillas of Destiny. We had Finn Juice. Why not have the Briscoes do maybe 3 or 4 tapings before they go to ROH, if they're even allowed to? Because I understand that one of the Briscoes was saying racist stuff about homosexuals, so maybe they don't want to deal with that, which I don't know why. People change. Not saying they're perfect, but that's just me. And this is my review of the Multiverse of Matches from Impact Wrestling. Please give me a comment below. It's going to be like 2 something by the time this is uploaded. If you guys like it, hopefully give a like, leave a comment. Peace.